Hey, what's going on everyone? Six Paths Dunga coming to you all again with yet another video. Ever since chapter 24 dropped, there's been a couple panels that everyone's been focusing on regarding the future of TBV Vortex. And today, I think I would like to shine some light on it. Now, as usual, before we get to the video, I would greatly appreciate if you dropped a like and subscribed if you're new to the channel, especially if you enjoy videos like this. But yeah, without further ado, enjoy the video. So looking back at chapter 24 of Boruto TBV Vortex, it looks like Kashin Koji has had another bunch of foresight visions. This allowed him to see that KAWAKI was going to join the battle and save Boruto. During these visions, we were also able to see a wide number of other events that is very likely to happen in the future of TBV Vortex. We look back to the first set of visions that was shown to us back when Prescience was first introduced into the story, and what I believe to be a top 5 chapter in the story, and we can see that Koji was able to see all the events that led up to the ending of part 1. Mainly, we can see Naruto and the rest versus Ishiki. On the far left, you can see Code's hand, and towards the bottom is of course KAWAKI and MOMOSHIKI's battle, in which KAWAKI killed Boruto and was brought back to life. If you pay attention, from the moment Koji had these visions up until now, he was able to see quite far into the future. He saw past Ishiki's death, past Boruto and KAWAKI versus Code, even past Ada and Damon's arrival in Konoha. He could see all the way up until the birth of Ryu. At least that's the furthest that they shown us Prescience can see. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that wasn't the limit of Prescience, but there's really no point in seeing too far into the future. You still want to maintain a healthy level of anticipation and suspense in the story. So Kashin Koji awoke in his Shinjutsu in chapter 48 versus Ishiki, and from his earliest vision to the latest that was shown, it was about 43 chapters of a difference. 43 chapters. From the beginning of the Ishiki fight, around chapter 51 of part 1, right about until Ryu was born, which was chapter 14 of TBV Vortex. Which means each one of these visions could be multiple chapters apart. And I wouldn't be surprised if it can go up to 50. Now we look at the new set of visions we got, the same could be applied here as well. In this new set, we see Inojin appearing to be doing some type of mind transmission technique, and from what it appears, he is in Orochimaru's old hideout that Boruto and Koji used to reside, which is now the same location where Gaara and Shinki are sealed. So most likely from what I can see, I think Shikamaru sent Team 10 on a mission to the Land of Wind to back up Konohamaru's group just in case if they run into any trouble returning to Gaara and Shinki. And we can also see Shikadai's jacket in the vision next to Inojin, so it's very likely this is the case. Maybe Inojin is trying to communicate with someone about the current situation, maybe they successfully saved Shinki from his tree-like state and he's trying to let everyone know, or maybe something went wrong. The next few visions are directly from this chapter, Boruto unconscious and JURA holding the eye that KAWAKI just stabbed right through. However, if we look closer, we can see Himawari also a part of these visions. And from her facial expression, it looks like she's in a bit of trouble. So somewhere down the line, Himawari joins into action somehow. From the last set of visions, we know that they don't necessarily have to be close to each other. They can get as far as 50 chapters apart. But obviously, in this scenario, that's probably not the case. Like I said, there's no point in showing us something that far away. One reason is just because it's not relevant at this point. And another reason is because this future is more likely to change sometime down the road because of how much of an impact Prescience has on the story now. So with that being said, this future is likely to be within 5 to 10 chapters from this vision. It could be the very next chapter for all we know, but it's not going to be too far from now. Like Koji said, he usually gets a vision every 6 days. That was the last time prior to this one that he got a vision. It's possible it could be around 5 or maybe 7 days apart. So to be safe, let's say he gets foresight visions weekly. But these visions can be changed or slightly manipulated according to how well they go about changing it to a better future. I wonder if he'll talk more about the visions he got in a later chapter, you know, after everything has calmed down a bit. But enough with these visions. We also got another set of visions a little bit later in the chapter that's way more interesting than these ones, especially since most of them have already been revealed, and it also has way more to talk about. So here it is. First you can see Mamushi, and next to him is what looks like to be Damon's hair. It certainly does match Damon's hair shape and the slight pink highlight that's in the front of his head. And I did hear this part on social media, I can't see it all too well, but it looks like there's clones of Momoshiki in this little small scene as well. So one of his potential powers could be the ability to clone himself. And from Damon being right next to this scene, I think a Damon versus Momoshiki battle could be a real reality, and sooner than we all think too. I will make a video on that later on, probably early July, so just make sure you all tune into that. I have made videos on that topic in the past, but I'll probably make one more going over that potential matchup and possible ways Damon could win or lose. So if you want to see that, just be on the lookout because you're not going to want to miss that one. So below those two, you can obviously see Sarada and Hidari, and that's the fight I really want to cover in this video. We will get into that in a second here, but anyone who might be wondering about the rest of the divisions, next to Hidari is JURA, standing next to what seems to be his wood style. I mean, right now he's in a death match against KAWAKI and Boruto, so it's hard to imagine that the scene is anywhere but on that battlefield. It could be, but it doesn't really look that important to really deep dive into it. Besides this scene just being him fighting against Boruto and KAWAKI, it could also be him gatekeeping Shinki from Team 10, especially if we see Himawari with Team 10, and JURA's trying to devour her, so maybe she did find a way to sneak out of Konoha with Team 10. So maybe the scene with Inojin trying to use the mind transmission technique and Himawari looking really engaged could be a result of them facing off against JURA. Obviously we see Boruto's cape towards the very right, and below that we really can't see anything, but if I was to take a wild guess, it looks like Konohamaru's hair as well as Inojin next to it. But we really can't tell much from these visions, they just don't carry that much context within one another. So back to Sarada versus Hidari. I been said even before Sarada and Boruto fought him that she should be the one to defeat him. I wanted this to be the fight where Sarada proved herself, but they ended up having her fight Ryu instead, and that's okay, that's perfectly fine. But I still wouldn't mind seeing this battle now that we got a chance again to experience it. I see this as a chance for Sarada to show that she has quote unquote surpassed her father, or insinuate that she could be on the level of her father. Of course Hidari is only a humanoid 10-tails version of Sasuke, but since Hidari at least represents him in that aspect, it'll symbolize how far she's come as a shinobi. And now that she's awakened her MANGEKYOU Sharingan, of course we'll only see more from Sarada. We could possibly see her left eye's ability. Judging how this panel is set up, it kind of emphasizes her left eye, but that could just be how it's set up. It doesn't necessarily have to be linked to what we might see in that fight. Talking strictly theories here, but that's a good possibility. One thing that I do believe we have to see sooner or later is Sarada's Susanoo. The Susanoo is possible to use once the user awakens their MANGEKYOU Sharingan in both of their eyes. We still haven't seen her use this, or even seen her hint at using it. So against Hidari, another formidable opponent who could possibly push her to that point, is a perfect opportunity for her to show it off. Judging how when Sasuke first used his Susanoo at the 5 Kage Summit, it started off at half body and just gotten better and more developed since then. So we shouldn't expect her to just bust out a perfect Susanoo manifestation the first time she uses it. That's just unrealistic. It'll probably just be the Susanoo ribcage that we see for all we know. But what's most important is that we see her Susanoo's design, and what about her Susanoo is unique among the others in the past. I'm also interested in the color of it too. I think that's pretty important because it at least has to match the aura of her character. So I was thinking red, maybe a crimson, or possibly just a darker shade of red is more suitable for her. And on the other side, of course Hidari could still be looking for her because she is still his target, but thinking deeper, what could draw them together is his interest in her Sharingan. Once they see each other again, he'll comment on her developed Sharingan, and obviously that is different from the last time they met prior to his revival. He was intrigued by the Sharingan, mainly because JURA told him about it, but he was able to deduce that he needed these eyes in order to master the Chidori. So he's come to the conclusion that he needed the Sharingan to be able to control the Chidori better, thus getting stronger. So I can see him going after her to steal her Sharingan, which is why we see him in this panel reaching out in a very nostalgic manner, similar to Sasuke and Itachi's battle. Hidari is one of the more interesting Shinju. He really doesn't understand himself all that much, and you can say he's one of the more underdeveloped Shinju. But even with all that being said, he's still shown the most interest of the world around him. So for right now, he's underdeveloped, yes, but his potential is where it's scary at. He has potential to evolve past any of the other Shinju not named JURA. And his thirst for knowledge, as well as him wanting to understand himself more, will draw him to Sarada again. So it's pretty inevitable that they meet again, and pretty soon at that. Take a quick look at this guy getting slow roasted by Fire Style. I'm not making any points here, I just wanted to show you guys again because this does not happen at all. So imagine you're one of the only guys in the series to die to Fire Style. That has to suck quite a bit. But back to the topic. If Sarada and Hidari battle now, I'm more confident in saying that Sarada wins this fight. She's much more stronger than what she was 13 chapters ago, and she understands herself a lot more. She isn't constantly mentally nerfing herself anymore. If I had to choose, I'd say with her Susanoo for defensive purposes, along with OHIRUME, Sarada could be unstoppable. So I'm not worried about her in this battle, but surprisingly, that's not the only way this battle could end. This could end up being a way more important interaction for Hidari than Sarada. I'm talking about the possibility of Hidari surprising everyone in choosing to protect Sarada, which could prove to be something he could be faced with along his evolution process. I did make a video going in depth of how this might be possible, along with explaining the Shinju's evolution process and how it works. So if you want to check that out, I will leave the link to that down below in the description. But just briefly explaining how this would be possible, we gotta look at one of the side effects of gaining intelligence, which is love. The most dangerous side effect, I might add. JURA told Hidari that this would cause them trouble throughout their evolution process, so it's important that they conquer it before it's too late. Matsuri was defeated due to love, so it's a fatal flaw. But in Hidari's case, it could be the one thing that's holding him back from discovering who he truly is. I wouldn't mind seeing this conclusion for Hidari's character. Him going out saving to protect Sarada or Konoha in some aspect. I feel him just dying at the hands of Sarada would be quite a waste. There's a reason Ikemoto brought back Hidari, and I don't think it was to simply be killed off again. So if we read in between the lines, there could be something waiting for us there. Either way, this fight is a good opportunity for both characters to develop even more. Sarada to develop her own character and her MANGEKYOU Sharingan abilities, and Hidari to evolve further and possibly discover something about himself and where he originated from. Let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see a potential Sarada and Hidari conflict? And if you do, how do you think it would go? Would Sarada have the advantage, or do you think Hidari would prove to be too much for her? Let me know your thoughts and opinions, and remember, if you enjoyed the video and wouldn't mind seeing more like this in the near future, go ahead and like the video, comment, subscribe, and turn on them post notifications so you don't miss whenever I upload or go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next one, I'll see you boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.